It's easy to say no to the poor, and it's easy to say no to the sick. I didn't choose to run for office or to represent this state by taking my legislative or political efforts out on the poor, particularly the working poor. To say that we can't afford to help the least of thee is a pretty powerful statement. All of us in this chamber and those that work in this building have a fairly comfortable life. Now, it's not bad when we will take the tax dollars of the working poor and supplement our compensation with their sweat. I think it's unreasonable as elected officials to not understand what has transpired in our state over the last decade. We must put appropriate emphasis on the word earned and not the word tax. These families across this state that have suffered during this recession through no blame of their own, when we have such a vibrant, and many would say, and I'll join those many, a responsible debate on whether we're going to alleviate the Michigan businesses from their tax obligation, and we can't use the same fervor or the same effort to stick up for our poor, those that are working. As I mentioned before, my grandparents immigrated to this country. They came to this state because there were jobs, there were well-paid jobs, and they could provide for their families. We're picking which side we're on. Y'all can pick on the poorest, or you can side with the most affluent. But my granddaddy told us many times, nothing beats a failure like a try. And we're telling Michigan families to go to work. We've told, I think, not in the best fashion for too long, the welfare mom to put down your home business and go to work. Most of those jobs entail minimum wage or slightly higher wages that they have to provide for their families. I think it was very thoughtful, and I think it was more than compassionate when a few years ago we passed the Earned Income Tax Credit under similar economic conditions. But today we're not given the same balance on behalf of the poor as we are those that are in business. We should really think about what we're doing here today. Do we really want people to look at our state and say, the Michigan Senate attacked the least of thee, and I want to move my family, and I want to move my business to a state that will overtly attack the poor? This $3,000, $5,000 that these families get for working should be considered compensation for their efforts, because we know that businesses throughout this state have lost revenue and therefore many times the ability to pay their workers what they would like to pay them themselves. But I think if you ask the businesses that have these responsible workers, they would say that they'd like to pay their workers more, and one way to do that may be a public support through the Earned Income Tax Credit. We should think seriously about what we're doing today. When we're talking about taking a big percentage of compensation away from these poor during these tough times, when we're saying if you make $15,000, we can't give you a few more to keep your heat on. When you're making $15,000, we can't give you a few more $1,000 so you can take your kid to the doctor and meet your copay. There's not 1 cent of the $3,000 that we give these families for the Earned Income Tax Credit that goes in some stock market. It goes for these family needs. We should be more responsible about our verbiage and more responsible about our action. I ask that my words be recorded in the journal. Thank you.